Hello and welcome to the Respond Customer Service webinar series. We're so glad you've taken the time to join us here today, or that you've taken the time to review the recording at a later date. My name is Jeremy Johnson. I'm a member of the marketing team here at TriTech, and we're once again glad you're here. Now, this is a customer webinar series that happens the second Tuesday of every month. It's a way for us to get good information into your hands. Speaking of good information, our user groups are a wonderful source for that. We do these periodically throughout the year. We've had one already this year in Augusta, Georgia. That was a great success, and we've got several more coming up this year. The next one, I believe, is in June. So check out the website. There's lots of different information on there for where those user groups are happening, and you can get the continuing education units out of that, some great networking. It's a wonderful opportunity to get deeper into your billing software. So for our experience here today, we will use the GoTo Dashboard to post any questions that you might have, and you can put those in there at any time. If that dashboard ever collapses, just click on that orange and white arrow to bring it back up, and then in the lower portion there you can enter your questions, and Kathy will handle those as she can here toward the end of the presentation. Which does bring us to our presenter today, Kathy Ransom, the Respond team lead, and she is going to be presenting on setting up credit codes. Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning, Jeremy, and good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a great March. I just want to let everyone know that next week at the PWW ABC 360 conference, both myself and Leah Erie, the other training rep from the support department, we will both be there. So stop by our booth if you're planning on coming. Today, we are going to talk about credit codes. So with the credit codes, the first place I want to go is to the help system. As a reminder that under help, documentation, and then billing station, you can find out a lot of information about our billing program. This is where our online manual lives. If we go to the codes section and we come down to the credit/payment codes, here we can find an overview of what credit codes really are. So again, credit codes can be monetary and non-monetary, and they're different ways to introduce dollar amounts into the program. So we have payments, adjustments, refunds, write-offs, those types of codes. We also have some information on requirements. So we have to have a credit ID, a description, the credit as, and the default system ID. And we're going to go deeper into those topics in just a moment. One thing to know is when you are using our help system, if you wanted to click on any of these descriptions, it gives you a much broader explanation of that area. So to our codes drop down, and we choose credit and payment. Many of you, when you click on the little lookup button or you do your F2 key, you actually will see credit codes that look similar to this. Now, this is what our accounting friends love to see because they like to see that we have adjustments, and they're in alphabetical order. So our adjustments start at the top. We would have an adjustment for those insurance companies that are considered commercial payers. We would have adjustments for those Medicaid payers, and we would have adjustments for Medicare. So we have 3 distinguished adjustments. We also have some denials, and as you can see in this database, they all start with claim denied by. Again, claim denied by commercial insurance or insurance, claim denied by Medicaid, and claim denied by Medicare. We don't need claim denied by Aetna, AARP, Cigna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, because we can run a report that will show us which insurance denied the claim by simply using just this credit code. So we don't need to muddle up our credit codes with all those different payer names. Next, in this particular database, you can see that we have a donation, and I do know we have a customer out there that if they haul a patient on Christmas, they donate their time, and so they have a donation that they use for their credit code. We have some interest offsets and interest payment, and then if we notice, the next group has to do with payments, where the money came from. Some of you may have payment insurance primary, or you may just have payment from the insurance company, so it just says payment insurance. Some of you have Aetna payment, Medicare payment, payment Medicaid, and they're all mixed up, and so when your finance person gets that report, it's not as easy for them to read or as eye-pleasing because all the words payment aren't in one in alphabetical order. And we can help you change those if you so desire. And then last but not least, we have our refunds and then our write-offs. So we're going to talk about some of these and what each of them mean. So the first example we're going to use is an adjustment. And we all know that we have to adjust off a dollar amount that's considered disallowed for both Medicare and Medicaid. It's an accepted loss. And in this case, we notice that our credit as, which is a hard-coded field, is set as adjustment, which then allows us to choose from our default system ID the adjustment for a disallowed amount, which is indeed what this is. We're contractually obligated through the payer, in this case Medicare, to subtract or adjust off for that disallowed amount. That being different than a write-off. So we have write-offs, which the credit ID is indeed write-off, and the default system ID is write-off. The difference between an adjustment and a write-off is, again, the adjustment is a contractual obligation with a payer versus a write-off is something your company determined you wanted to do. So in the case of a billing service, perhaps you're going to write off everything under $20 for a specific customer. They've asked you to write off that dollar amount. So that's the difference between our write-off and our adjustment. We also have then our denials. And this one isn't set correctly, so let's change that. We have claim denied by insurance. So in this case, it's considered a payment of 0. So when we're posting the payment and we're using our denial credit, the credit as will say denial and the amount paid from that private insurance company will be 0. Same thing with then Medicare and Medicaid. And of course, we have all those denial codes. Hopefully you all remember that we have those built into the program that you can use in conjunction with the credit code for denials. And last but not least, we'll talk about our payments. And our payments can be credited as a patient payment or an other payment. And then where did we get the money? So the money came from somewhere. So in this case, we have a Medicaid payment. The choices that would make the most sense would be Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance payment. And remembering that Medicaid is Medicaid is Medicaid, Medicare is Medicare. We have MACs that are considered the Medicare payers, and everyone else in the world then that we would be talking about would be that either private pay, which would come from then the patient, or other payment, which would come from a commercial insurance company. Sometimes we have to refund money. Again, when we refund, we typically are refunding back to a commercial insurance company, back to Medicaid, back to Medicare, or back to a private party. Sometimes it's the patient, sometimes it might be a third-party payer that paid for the patient. Either way, it's a refund. Again, we're subtracting because we're sending that money back. So our credit codes have lots of information that are tied to them. The default system ID and the credit as are very important that we are using them correctly. We've had lots of questions about those, and hopefully I have been able to explain them. And now, if I have any questions, this would be a good time for you to ask them, please. All right, seeing none, that concludes today's webinar on credit codes. And for those of you attending the PWW conference next week, stop by our booth and say hi. Thank you.